News and information you can trust. This is American Freedom Radio. Freedom. American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
Today. Thanks for joining us. Deadline Live. I'm Jack Blood, your radio gun. AmericanFreedomRadio.com and all our great affiliates out there. Thanks for tuning in today. Our next guest is the host of Mancow's Morning Madhouse. That show is broadcast on over 70 terrestrial radio stations nationwide. Mancow is rated the number 9 guy on Talkers Magazine Heavy 100. He is on the FCC's most wanted list, and he promised to be a friend of the show today. I promise not to kill him, but this is going to be radio waterboarding right here live. Mancow, thanks for joining us.
Oh, my God. Actually, I think I moved up to number 8 now that Paul Harvey died.
Well, that's one way to get there. Were you responsible for that in any way?
He was in Chicago and his studio was down the hall. I actually have some of his studio stuff that I moved in. That was the biggest radio star of all time. There was nobody bigger than Paul Harvey. I mean, that guy made more money. Forget Rush, forget Stern, forget the golden era of radio. Paul Harvey, and he worked down the hall.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a little out of my age range, but you're an old man, so you would. Yeah. I mean, but, there's a conspiracy there. You bumped him off to move up on the Talker, because, you got to be on the Talkers Mag Heavy 100. I'm never going to be on that Mancow, as you know.
Well, I don't know what it does for me, but, yeah, I am there. You brought it up. Yeah, no, it's, he was down the hall. I used to see him, they'd feed him. They would feed him. They would give him a soup before he went on. I think he's been dead for many years, but,
speaking of dead for many years, one guy who's not dead is Ernest Borgnine. I have a bone to pick with you because when we had breakfast last month, you told me something about Ernest Borgnine that has haunted me ever since. You see, what I didn't mention is that Ernie looks just like my grandpa, and now I am master of my own domain, if you know what I'm saying. I can't do it anymore because of what you told me.
Yeah, I mean, that was something else. Ernest Borgnine, 92 years old, and sharp as can be, was in the studio. Shatner in his late 70s, sharp as can be, and yet you meet some people in their 70s and they're, what? These guys are way sharp guys, and Borgnine told me that he makes love to himself 5 times a day, and that's what he really attributes his health to. And I mean, the guy is as sharp as some 20-year-old you'd meet.
But it's one of those things that when you tell somebody something and it kind of goes in one ear out the other, and then I go, oh, man, you know what? He looks just like my grandfather. So now when I'm, pleasuring myself, I get that stuck in my head, and I have you to blame for that. So that is a problem for me.
And he was married to Ethel Merman. So imagine when he finally got it. No wonder he had to get busy with himself so much.
And here I am without an Ethel Merman clip. Just, wrong time, wrong place. Mancow, one of the things I wanted to bring up on the program today, I mentioned radio waterboarding. It's just, I guess, funny because everybody gets waterboarded on this show one way or another. But you actually got waterboarded, and I always wanted to ask you about that. We didn't have time to talk about it much last month, but go through that with us. What possessed you to do that, and what was it like?
Man, I mean, it's a huge, it's how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, I guess. It's such a huge story for me, but quickly, I'm a libertarian. I want to be left alone. I believe in the individual. I am an Ayn Rand follower, even though she hated libertarians. I am kind of like the prisoner, I guess, from the TV show The Prisoner. I fight as you do against the collective. However, when it comes to saving my kids or your kids, or I don't know, I just didn't think it was any big deal waterboarding one of these crazies. I've been throughout the Middle East. They say exactly what they're going to do. We come here and no, they're just like us. We're all the same, men and women. Every religion's the same. There's no differences. You know, working in big corporate radio, diversity is they get everybody, they put them in cubicles and tell them to think exactly alike. If you actually look up the word diversity, it's pretty hard to motivate a lot of people that don't think alike. Although I celebrate the differences. I don't know where to go with this except that I did not think that waterboarding was torture. And I thought, well, you can hold your breath. And I could hold my breath. It's water in the nose, you hold your breath. And I'm sure that's what some of your listeners think. And it's what I set out to prove.
Right.
And I was wrong.
It looked like a pretty easy stunt going in. You could prove it and say, okay, well, I did it, and it's not that big of a deal. I mean, obviously, we're going to have a major difference of opinion on some of that, but you went and did it, so I got to at least congratulate you for. I'd like to see Cheney and others try it, of course, as well. But you went and did it, and how long did it take before you were crying like a baby?
Well, I mean, let me set this up a little bit because it's very interesting. Having done it, everyone immediately hated me that didn't necessarily hate me before, and I'm talking the left and the right. You have to understand that whether we're talking about Cheney or Pelosi or everyone, Harry Reid, you know, these guys all knew. Hillary, they all signed off on it. They don't want it to be classified as torture. Now, they'll say it's bad if it means getting Bush out of office. They'll say it's bad if it means they get more power. But I set out to prove that it was not torture. Some people on the internet and others have said, oh, well, he didn't do it the official blah, blah, blah. His body was not at this exact angle, and he didn't have a black hood. And the CIA describes waterboarding as head back, water down the nose and the mouth. What I didn't understand is it's not water. It doesn't matter if you hold your breath. Your lungs are down. Your head, that's the back of your skull. What happened is the water went back into my nose, in through my mouth, and it went to the back of my skull. It has nothing to do with holding your breath. It's above that function of your body. It's above that. And it felt like like a TV screen, like a computer screen zapping on and off. And it just short-circuited my brain. I didn't last very long at all. And it just turned off.
But did you confess at that point to 9/11? Did you confess to every crime, including killing my cat under the sun after that? Or would you have, and do you understand that that's maybe not the best way to get to the truth?
Well, I'm sorry, ask the question again. I guess I'm losing you.
Because is that the best way to find the truth? I mean, would you have confessed? Say you had to go through that, Mancow, I don't know, 60 times in a day. Would you be willing to basically confess to any crime at that point?
Oh, yes. I mean, you hear about anything that was done in Vietnam or any of this stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but I'm a wimp. Yeah, I would have told you anything.
And I think that kind of might have been what actually happened. See, that's the thing. I don't believe that that's the best way to get to the truth, and I don't trust the government. I don't trust the people that are doing it, as I'm sure you don't. Now then the question becomes, are you ready to do now for the world a vaccine stunt, a similar stunt where you take the swine flu vaccination and see what happens over the coming weeks?